Thanks everybody for joining us. I am surrounded by these beautiful people. Does everybody hear me okay? Yes? Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, is it asking us?
Yes, I thought you were talking about the people in the.
Yeah, me too.
No, I mean, okay. You all planned that, didn't you? You planned that. You know, don't say anything when Gerald starts to talk. It'll be awesome. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
People in the chat and stuff. I didn't think you were talking.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
we often share one brain.
Yeah, we
by the way.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all for joining us. And today, I'm very excited. This is the Anna K Deck Casual with Sarah, Julie, and Heather. See? And if you have not liked and subscribed to their channels, fix that now.
He'll give
wait.
you a second. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the description below, I was talking about the description. I had fun doing that because that is exactly how this came about. It's just like, oh, we should do a deck casual. And it's like, Heather popped up with her spreadsheet going, well, we all have the Anna K. And I'm like, oh, I have the Anna K. And it was like, and then it was decided. So that brought us to today. So.
Well, and Gerald, hadn't you like kind of not really used yours yet?
Yeah, you hadn't even opened it, right?
Right?
I hadn't opened it.
So we're like, oh, this has to happen then.
We have to have this discussion. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I haven't opened it. And I also have the Anna K. Lenormand.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just opened that one too. So I'm, it really bugs some of my friends that I'm all about the acquisition. I like getting my hands on a good deck. And then when I
Naughty. Oh my goodness. Is this going to go the way of you, Ben, and Martin? Like
probably not. Probably. I mean, it could go worse. I mean, I have 7 sisters. I know how naughty they are.
Yeah.
So, but yes. So, please purchase responsibly. Know your limits. We're not telling you to purchase the deck. We're talking about the deck and the things that we like about it, things that we have questions about. I purchased my copy through Anna K's website. It is also available mass market. So know your limits. Let's say hi to some people so I can, okay. Tangie's here. Deb H said, my son's long-term care facility where he lives has finally opened, and I was able to visit him last week for the first time in 2 years. Aw, well, that is wonderful.
Fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So,
enjoy.
Yeah. Go visit him.
Yes.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
Go visit.
Yeah. And the good thing about watching the playback is you can change the speed. So, oh, Ange is out. She is tested positive for the C, so she's going to be popping. Get your mind off the sore body. I'm so sorry. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm actually a little nervous. I woke up this morning with a bit of a sore throat, and I'm like, this is not good.
You have a home test?
I do.
Okay.
So I'm going to take it after we're done with this.
Okay.
I was hoping it would get better over the course of the day, and so far it has not.
Okay.
Yikes.
Viviani is here. Hello. And Patrice. Hello, Patrice. Just popping through. Look at that. Lots of love. Kim Moon Whisperer. Everybody can hear me. Everybody can hear me. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Oh, geez.
See, we were the only ones who
I know exactly
that way. I feel so good now.
So Ange is, even though she's still not feeling, or she's not feeling well, she is popping links. So all of those. Thanks, Ange.
Thank you.
Beth, Aspasia Rising. I'm sitting here with my indie Anna Kay, mass market Anna Kay, and my Lenormand
She is ready.
Anna Kay.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited. You
We
are
knew Beth
ready.
would be here. We knew Beth would be here.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
Okay. And Patrice is like, of course I'm subscribed. Duh. It's like, my goodness, of course. Oh, look, Heather is here. Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah, hey,
there you
hey,
go.
Heather.
Hi, Heather. Good to see you.
Here's the fan. Oh gosh. Okay, getting caught up. Getting caught up. Oh, Jamie, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path is here.
Jamie.
Jamie is my friend. I'm outing Jamie, who when I purchase a deck and I don't open it, it drives her crazy. And I think Jamie was with me. We were doing a Zoom and she's like, shouldn't you be looking at that? Like, yeah, something like that. And I just did that with the chakra healing tarot.
Okay.
I've had it. I haven't opened it. So anyhow,
So
Jonathan is here.
what's the longest you've kind of kept a deck without having opened it?
Probably it's the Anna Kay.
Okay. And how long was that? The duration of what, like months and months?
It was probably a year and a half.
Like not even taking the cellophane off and looked at the cards or nothing.
No.
Okay.
I told you I'm about the acquisition.
Yeah.
Julie's like, so
I totally get it. Although I will say there are some times when I will get a deck and not use it for a while, but I almost always just open it and take the cellophane off and just check to make sure all the cards are there.
Look at it.
True.
Look at it.
Sometimes you have like a missing card or like a mistake in the deck. So I do that. But I totally get like getting a deck without the intention to use it for a while. So
yeah. Well, and I have to say, Anna Kay was amazing. There was emails, and then it was like she sent me a tracking link, and it was weird. And she's like, "Oh, it is. It's in a different language," and so it was like really good. So
she's fantastic.
Where is she from, Anna Kay? She's European somewhere, right?
I think she's Austrian.
Austria.
Austrian. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Sarah, it could just be a good old-fashioned cold.
Man, I sure hope so. So everybody keep their fingers crossed that I just have a cold.
Pamela's here. Jonathan popped in.
Hello.
Not opening the deck. Andy is here. Yeah. Jamie says yes. I pulled my hair out.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for delayed gratification, I suppose, that none of us appreciate, and in the world that we live in now. I'm like, no, it came through my door 5 minutes ago. How is it not open yet?
Exactly. Where you're clicking the tracking link and you're like, why is it not here? Delivered today. Oh my God.
Well, yes.
But
yes.
a year and a half.
I know.
That's some delayed gratification.
That is intense. That is a serious delay. So.
Yeah.
I am uniquely me.
Yes.
But like I said, I am about deck acquisition, and we'll just say that the Earth Fire and Bone.
No, I know exactly.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I saw it being that one. Thank you.
That's what I
Thank
do,
you.
Gerald. I'm like
what she said. But I like I said, I'm about collecting an acquisition. So I mean, it only took me 2 weeks before I found an out of print copy that was still sealed, and I purchased it. So I have not used it. So judge me all you want. It's okay. I can handle it.
No judgment here. We are a judgment-free zone.
Absolutely no judgment.
I know. Grew up with delayed gratification. It's overrated.
You call movie phone and you have to wait for them to run through the schedules for all the movies before they get to the one you want to go to.
Oh my gosh, I remember those days.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I don't like going to the movie theater, because I can't fast forward through that crap, and I can't pause it to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring back intermissions. That would solve that problem.
Yeah, really.
Yes, it would.
Not anymore. There's like the Dark Knight or whatever it is, that movie. The Batman is
Oh,
like
the
3 hours,
Batman.
the 3 hours long and no
Yeah.
intermission. Like how
Yeah.
how
Movies
and
have
then-
got longer and they've taken out the break.
and
I
a small
don't get
screen
it.
at the movie theater is like this big. Like how are you supposed to? I mean, like come
It's
on.
ridiculous. And then the previews themselves take a half an hour.
Mhm.
So tack on a half
Right.
an hour of that.
Yeah.
No.
There you go. Andy's like going, movie guy voices was so sexy. It's cool. You know, I'm just like, anyhow. All right. So we're here to talk about the Anna K Tarot and show us which version of the deck you have and how long you've had it. So here's mine. I bought it from Anna K. I believe I saw it after I got a reading from Sadhana with it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it comes in a little box. So there's no tuck box rage here, and a little guidebook.
Mhm.
So, all right, Heather, which one do you have?
I have the mass market one. So it's, sorry, my dog is on my knee and I've just made him jump. It's the mass market one. It comes in this massive box,
Mhm.
which is in the 2-part box thing.
Oh, okay.
And I've not had it very long. I only bought it after we did our 3 Girls 1 Deck, where Sarah had it as her deck. And that when was that?
I want to say it was like October, November. something
Yeah,
like
it was the end of last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've only had it since the end of last year.
that. Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the guidebook
Okay.
also is very different. The guidebook in the mass market looks like this.
The text is identical.
Is it?
The text
Is it?
it is identical between
Okay.
because I know in it seems like the one that you get in the indie version is just a pamphlet, but the mass market guidebook has a ton more space and it literally is identical text. I've checked. So
Right, okay. And what about the card stock, Sarah?
the cardstock is very different.
It's different. That's what I hear as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very different.
And
So
Ange wanted to know, is there a difference in the cards between mass market and the one from Anna K's website? So you're up, Sarah.
yeah, there is a pretty significant difference actually. I have both. The reason I bought myself the mass market edition is because I like to use this deck to read for other people, and so I take it with me places. And I just wanted to get myself a mass market copy just so that I wouldn't wreck my indie copy. But they are very different. So like here's like 2 cards that StreamYard. So this is the mass market copy that has the title at the bottom. I've trimmed mine, but it normally has black borders all the way around it.
Okay.
And it's kind of glossy. It's Llewellyn cardstock, so it's a little bit glossy. And but it's perfectly shuffleable. It's perfectly fine. And it trims up really nicely if you trim it. You can see the indie version is quite a bit thicker cardstock. It has a little bit more of like a cardboardy feel, I'd say. But it is still quite nice, but it's a little hard to shuffle. And it has just a very narrow colored border around each of the cards. And then the title at the top is like super small print, very unobtrusive. So they are quite different in terms of how they look. The coloration, I'd say, is a little bit different too. I don't know if you can see, but the indie version is a little bit like darker in all the coloring.
Right.
Yeah. So they are different. They're both nice, honestly. Like I honestly end up using my mass market one more because, like I said, I carry it around with me if I leave the house sometimes, and I do use it to read a lot for other people. So, so I probably use it more. But they're both nice, perfectly nice editions, and you don't lose anything getting one or the other because again, the guidebook's the same, and so yeah. But I love it. As you can see, I literally have 2 copies of this deck. So it's a favorite.
This was, okay. So, Julie, before I have you show yours, are you all keeping track of the success of 3 Girls 1 Deck of getting the others to purchase a deck?
We did our Christmas special that we did, or Christmas holiday, winter solstice, whatever, Yule special that we did at the end of the year last year was our True Confession special, where we each said what decks we had bought under the influence of our our fellow girls. So yeah, I was the biggest offender. So
shocking.
You mean you purchased most of the decks that they were recommending?
I bought a
Of
lot.
course,
Yeah.
and let's just be clear, she did not purchase the 5 cent tarot
No,
or the
No.
2 penny oracle.
No.
None of you did, so but
not
here are
yet.
the backs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ange wanted to see the backs. Are the backs same in the indie and mass
Yeah,
market?
yeah. The backs are the same.
Mhm.
Okay.
These
There
are
is
just
a little-
shinier.
Yeah. This one
All right.
again because I trimmed it. It's a
Mhm.
little bit closer
Yeah.
to the edge, but so.
Okay. Okay, Julie, which one do you have?
Well, I have actually the same exact one that Heather has. So you've already seen it, the box, and it's mass market. And I bought it pretty much, I want to say maybe a week or two after the Three Girls live, because I mean, again, like the comments from the Tarot Village were very hardcore. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to try this deck out. I'm just gonna have to. People are fighting really hard.
Yeah. People
So,
go
yeah.
hard for the Anna K. They do.
Yeah. So, and yeah,
Okay.
so I just trimmed mine in black. I did keep the borders. So,
Okay.
yeah. And I think, I mean, I like the mass market edition. I find that it's very easy to shuffle, even with my small hands. I think the coloration is great, like the saturation. So, other than it being that crappy oversized tuck box,
Oh, the box is terrible though.
Yeah.
I took that out.
It's
right
like an
away.
old style Llewellyn box
It
before
is-
they
it
started
is
having the
old style.
magnetic flap and
yeah.
everything. It sucks.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a horrible box. The
Yeah.
size of it, the way it's laid out in the box,
Basically.
that random extra bit of card that they
Yeah,
put
it
in the
just-
corner. It's
Mhm.
really horrible.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Mm.
bad. But other than that, everything else is, great. So,
Mhm.
Welcome. I'm
Yes,
glad you made it. And we are just catching up.
oh, hi, April.
What's their name?
April? Is that
April.
yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I just, I'm adding April to my list because,
Mhm.
I need to know that. So
Julie is so good with names.
Julie's very good with names.
Julie's
We
amazing
rely on
with
Julie
names.
very heavily.
Yeah.
Don't rely on me. Don't
Names.
rely-
We comment on it frequently that she is the one who can remember everybody's name, and it's amazing. So yeah.
okay. So all right. So tarot and witchery. Okay, thank you. I am that guy. I write all of them down. So just to be clear, the size of the indie version,
Mhm.
it is a little wider than the universal weight or the original, and it is definitely shorter.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but
I think
But
the mass
anyhow.
market is the same size, isn't it, Sarah?
No,
What about-
the mass market is actually bigger.
Oh, is it?
Because of the
So
borders, or did they actually enlarge the image too?
they enlarged the image too.
Oh,
So
okay.
here is
ooh.
this one in the back is
Oh,
actually my
okay.
trimmed mass market.
Oh, okay. okay.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
this is the indie in front.
I didn't realize the
So
size difference was that
yeah.
much.
there's a pretty significant size difference, and the image is larger in the mass market edition. It's not like it's clearer or anything, but it is definitely larger. So
Okay.
And is it a little lighter, the coloration?
yeah,
Okay.
which is mostly okay, except my one example of a card where I don't like it as much as the Wheel of Fortune, which it gets a little harder to see that sort of ghostly figure in the back.
Mhm.
Mm.
So that's the one time where I think the indie version is better.
Okay. So I'm going to get snarky. So hold on. Sarah, does size really matter?
In this case, no.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Any other
People.
use cases, in this case, no.
Oh, I love it. Micah's like deck casual equals a healthier shot of espresso. So, April has been contemplating this deck. Excited to hear the chat. So, know your limits, purchase responsibly.
Yeah.
Links to Anna K's website are below for ordering it. Whenever possible, I like to purchase from the creator. It's just for me, it's a more meaningful experience because and I had mentioned to Anna K, I'm going to do a flip through of this, and I never did, but I was like going, and I'd love to talk about it. And she was very polite, but she, I think, is rather shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. So,
but she is great to work with, and when you order from her, like you were saying, Gerald, she's absolutely wonderful. And I've ordered from her twice because I got the Lenormand as well as the Indie of the tarot, and I think she has both still available on her site. I think she can only sell the tarot until her inventory sells out, because after that she can't obviously print any more indie copies because of the mass market version. So, so something to keep in mind if you're interested in the indie version. It might be again, purchase responsibly, but it might be a better sooner than later kind of thing. So
yes, Micah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yes, Micah.
Yes, Micah.
That'll be the one.
And,
yes.
Beth said, "LOL, situational for sure, Sarah."
Sometimes it does matter.
And Mark Astro Tarot is here. Hello, Mark. And yeah. So, and I know my limits and disregard. I do that frequently, actually. So, we've talked about the size and the card stock. Again, it's stiff, but it takes a bit of getting used to and shuffling it. For me, is what is how I feel. And what do you think of the guidebook, Sarah? You said you have both copies.
I do. I think it's a really solid little guidebook. It's not, neither of them have a huge amount of information, but the information that it does have is perfectly solid. And I think it's pretty darn good guidebook, honestly. And the one that comes with the mass market edition, like you can see that the indie guidebook is just like a staple bound sort of little book, but the mass market guidebook is actually really nice, like in the way that it's bound and laid out and everything. Like it's a really nice looking book. So yeah.
And are they? It smells nice. Is it black and white images in the mass market?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I really like the little tips as well with some.
I do too.
I mean, I've never really seen that in another guidebook before, and I really appreciate that.
Which is and I appreciate that. And when you look at it, there's also space for you to provide notes, for you to write notes.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the back of that. So there's Anna K.
Yeah, I mean, in the mass market one, you actually get quite a few pages like this where you have line pages. There's quite a lot of those throughout the whole book. So there's loads of room for notes in this one. And it's the kind of paper that's really good for writing on. Sometimes Llewellyn's guidebooks are that glossy paper that's really fun to write on. This is easy to write on. It's good.
That's good.
I love it. It's just so nice and compact too. And it's really great. It's concise. It's to the point, and
And I think honestly, to me, one of the things that I love about the Anna K, I feel like it's a really good beginner deck, like a really good beginner deck. Because I think it's really easy to glean card meanings from the cards, and I also do think that for a small guidebook, it's a really solid little tarot guidebook, like introduction to Rider-Waite-Smith style meanings of the cards. So it's a great beginner deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would. I might not say yes for a beginner deck. However, the guidebook is so solid. When you look at the images and you start to read with it, you're going to go, "Oh, I get it." There's some more of there's more of that. So anyhow, I'm sure everybody wants to us to get into it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our favorite cards and cards we have questions about or we're meh about, and we're going to start with Heather and then go to Sarah, then Julie, and then me. I have put my deck in order, so I will be able to hold stuff up and just let us know which deck. And of course, in chat, you know how this goes. Feel free to ask questions, so go for it. No.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. April asked, can you talk about the style of prose in the book?
No.
So I mean, it's really to the point. Like I don't think it's not flowery or anything.
Yeah.
It's just really to the point about
is.
like, this is what the meaning of the card is, you know.
Yeah.
It's
So
very accessible language.
Yeah.
It's not trying to.
Yeah.
It's there's not like purple prose or anything like that. And also it's well written, so it's not like
Mhm.
you're being distracted by tons of errors or odd
Yeah.
sentence structure or anything
Mhm,
like that.
mhm.
It's just it is a very accessible and fluid read.
It's concise.
It's
concise.
and
yeah,
yet
it is concise.
yeah, and it's still
80
packed with information.
pages.
Mhm.
80 pages in the indie. So okay. Heather, you're up.
Oh, okay. What do you want me to talk about first? Cards I like or cards I less keen on, or
Your
Heather?
choice.
Okay. Let's start with cards I like because I probably have less to say in general. I don't have that many. Well, I have 8, but so I have 4 that I have that kind of I've grouped together for the same reason. So it's the star, the moon, the sun, and the world.
Mhm.
Okay.
And none of these cards have any people in them or any animals in them or any they're just scenery, and I love that.
Mhm.
I love like the fact that the star is the main focus of the card, the moon is the focus of the card.
Mhm.
I think that's a really interesting choice that works really, really well for me personally,
Mhm.
which was surprising because normally I do like people or something in my decks to focus on.
Okay. I'm trying to find my.
Is it so surprising though, Heather?
Was it
given
Judgment
how
or what
weird
was the
looking
last
they-
one?
The world.
The world.
Yeah.
Given how weird the people are, did you say, Julie?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there is an argument there that maybe I like it so much because there's no weird-looking people in them. But I don't know, because interestingly,
they are
none of the
beautiful.
cards that I've chosen to have like that I'm less keen on or I don't understand so much are to do with the way that the people are drawn. But I'll
But no, I mean, just even aside from that, those are beautiful, and I would say that those are some of my favorites as well. They're
Mhm.
just gorgeous.
I had picked out those cards too.
Yeah, gorgeous.
But it's one of the reasons I love decks with a sense of place. Like you get the meaning of the card just from the feeling that you feel
Yes.
by
Yeah.
just being in this place. Like you can
Yeah.
feel what the sun means by
Yeah.
imagining yourself in this place. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And-
and these are all places I would quite like to spend some time in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All of them. Like they
Yeah.
just they're stunning. It's just absolutely stunning.
And if you just lay them out, if you just lay them out together, it's just beautiful.
It's lovely. And
Yeah.
Beth said the moon and star cards make me shiver from the cold. I can just feel the chill in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, and and looking at them on the water, the moonlight on the water, and I like that it is a crescent rather than a full moon. And so I'm going to put this up there to warm up Beth a little bit.
I
Put
also
the sun on it.
like, so I know when we talked about it in our 3 Girls 1 Deck, I was like, I just don't know if she's a very good artist, and that maybe is why the faces are all weird and that kind of stuff. But then when I got this deck, these 4 cards were the moment where I was like, no, do you know what? This woman is actually an incredibly talented artist. Talented, because these images they're very well done, very, very well done. There's movement, a sense of movement in them. There's a real sense of place in them. I think they're probably my favorites. They're probably my 4 favorites in the whole deck. But I do have others that I really like. So I really, really like.
Well, hang on. I want to go around and give Sarah a chance, and then Julie.
Okay.
So you don't lose your voice.
Okay.
And I just but so okay, so Heather, what about the 2 of Cups?
2 Cups.
We'll talk about that. I'm going to star that. So okay, Sarah, you are up.
Sure. So I'm actually going to mention also two cards, but it sort of goes to a broader theme of this deck, and one of the reasons why I do think this is a good deck for beginners. So I just picked out a couple of the aces that I particularly love, and I think for beginner tarot readers, aces can be particularly difficult cards because they don't have a lot going on them. They're just a big cup or a big, pentacle or whatever. And I think the courts are also often a very difficult concept for beginner readers. And I think aces and courts are done particularly well in this deck in a way that really, really helps you get at the meanings of the cards. Like this one is the one. This ace of wands or ace of rods is what it's called in this deck. I think is just absolutely wonderful at getting at the meaning of the cards in such a way that it's actually easy to understand, and it actually really triggers something in your mind as far as what the meaning of that card might be. And I also think, and I'll talk about some of the courts too when it becomes my turn again, but I think that she does an amazing job with some of those tougher to understand cards to really express and evoke the meaning of it in a way that really makes it easy to understand. So that is one of the reasons, like I said, I think it's a really good beginner deck.
Yeah. The reason I separated my deck into grouped them into like all of the aces is because of these aces. These have people in them. In the traditional RWS, you basically see a hand or a cloud, and I love that we are now put into this deck. We are invited in very clearly. And it's just like, okay, how many of us have felt like we are doing this? So, and it was like, okay. And Mark said, when I first got the deck, I got the aces mixed up with the pages, but I do love them for the reasons Sarah, states. Yeah, I actually thought they were the pages as well, but I was like going, oh, they're not. Oh, I like this. So it's one of those things that's like, ooh, yeah. So
yeah, I'm in two minds about the aces, I have to admit. I mean, mainly because I'm a Libra and I'm in two minds about everything. I love them. Artistically, I love them. But I also like just the hand in an ace because it's that sense of potential with an ace. So I don't know, I guess, how I feel about them.
Okay. You're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Well.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I am teasing, you know that.
You don't have a fan, Heather.
I know, right? I feel like I should.
There you go. I'll do that. Here. I'll do this to myself. Jamie, look away. I'll do this to myself. Stop it, Gerald. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Be nice. Shut your mouth.
Yeah, see, if I had a fan, I could have done mock offense, but I don't. So.
Yeah.
April, I have that marked so we can look at that if we don't. Okay. So all right. Julie, are you ready?
Oh, yes, I am ready. And actually, I can speak to one of April's, the Three of Swords right here. This is one of my, actually, I like a number of the cards in the sword suit. And what I, of course, like about this one is that it strays a little bit from the traditional swords impaled in the heart. So I feel like this is a little more creative and at the same time it can evoke that same type of feeling, as well as also lend to other interpretations of their just kind of being this communicative impasse, and this kind of in terms of thought, in terms of their relationship with each other and how they're communicating and what they're actually thinking about. So I like that this particular card gives me a richer feeling about the Three of Swords, and it gives me kind of a wider breadth of how we could interpret this card. Whereas sometimes I feel like the traditional can be a little bit limiting, or, whenever you see someone, even if it's supposed to be metaphorical with, them being impaled with three swords or whatnot, that's always going to invoke a pretty visceral response from someone. Whereas this one I feel like it's a little gentler and yet still evokes the same types of meanings and interpretations. So I love that.
I agree with you. This is in my favorite pile,
Yeah.
and I think like April said, the look on her face,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's like, ooh, girl is done. She leaving. She
Mhm.
taking her toys and going home.
And she
So
has like a little smudge of red on her, you know, on her, is it dress or her? So I'm not, it almost seems like that's supposed to kind of lend to maybe like, the metaphorical bleeding
Yeah.
of the heartache. Um, but again, just with that added figure there,
yeah,
just again, that I just love that sense of, okay, they're at an impasse, or they're struggling. There's a struggle here. So how do we progress from there? How do these two progress from this kind of stalemate?
yeah,
So I just really thought that was so well done.
yeah,
So yeah, just in general, I have a few swords cards in here that I
Mhm.
really like.
Me too.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And yeah, there is resignation here.
Mhm.
It's like,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
we got a choice to let go.
Mhm.
And well, Patrice says she especially loves the chariot and the 8 of Swords. And
Mhm.
I love the chariot.
Mhm.
Visually, it's stunning.
Mhm.
I so appreciate a different perspective.
Mhm.
I can, as I look at this, I can feel the wind of that chariot rushing by me.
Mhm.
And whether or not I'm in control of that or I've been left behind, and the whip, it's just
Mhm.
like, okay, wow.
Mhm.
So it's very, very powerful for me.
There's so much
So
like momentum in it, which I think if you look at
Mhm.
like the Rider-Waite-Smith chariot, for example, it's supposed to be a card about momentum and moving forward, but the picture is actually quite static, in terms
Yeah.
of
Uh-huh.
how it feels when you look at it. But this one is just like, like there's so much movement and momentum to it.
Yeah. It has Apollo vibes to me,
Yeah, me
yes,
too. Yeah,
Mhm.
me too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
yeah. So that's one of my cards that
Mhm.
I really enjoy.
Love
So
it.
there you go. Heather, you're up. Thank you for your patience.
That's okay. Just following on, which will make Patrice happy, because the other card I really like is the 8 of Swords.
Yeah, there you go.
In fact, this is probably one of my favorite 8 of Swords in any deck
Mhm.
ever. And I
Yep.
love the fact that it's very clear from this deck and from this image that all of the things that are binding her to place and holding her back and keeping her from being able to move forward are not external things, they're internal things, which
Yep.
is why she has to see them in the mirror, and they're not on her. And I think this card just does a brilliant job of
Yeah.
making it clear that that's what this particular card is talking about. I love it. I just love it very a lot. I love it
Very
that much.
lot.
I can't even English.
And I love how you can see that, the train of her dress is actually what's going into the reflection and wrapping around her and binding her.
Mhm.
I just
Hmm.
love that
Mhm.
detail.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
I love that.
So
Mhm.
awesome.
And I also love how she's in this like really beautiful, the scenery's beautiful around her,
Yeah.
and then in the mirror it's
Hmm.
absolutely
It's
pitch
rainy. Yeah.
rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
Yeah.
almost feel like, and of course I have no way of, I don't know that this is truth, but I almost feel like, in the Light Seers, the is it the 8 of Swords in the Light Seers?
Mhm.
I feel
Very
like
similar. I
it
know.
was inspired
Yeah.
perhaps
Yeah.
I've always
by
felt like that too. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Pretty
definitely see
clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yep,
Mhm.
yep.
Not that I don't love the Light Seers, but I remember the
No,
first time
no,
I got
yeah,
the Eight of
it's
Swords and the Light Seers, I was like, oh, so the Anna K Eight of Swords. Okay.
I'm surprised more modern decks don't do it though, because I think it's like it's just the
Mhm.
perfect way. it's the
Absolutely.
it's
It
that
is.
perfect way of
Yeah.
showing
It
that
really is.
turmoil is
Yeah.
on the inside, not on the outside.
It was
Which
it's
is
Yeah.
the whole point of the swords, right?
right,
It's all
Right.
in our minds.
Mine.
It's not an
Exactly.
external thing.
right.
Exactly.
So I'm very
Yeah.
surprised more cards don't
Mhm.
draw inspiration from, to
Right.
put it politely.
Yeah.
The Anna Kay.
Yes.
Right. No shade to Chris Ann and the lights.
No,
here.
no shade at all.
Like,
No, because
I just
it's similar.
it's similar.
And she has done her thing on it, and I agree. Patrice is like, good observation, Julie, about the about her train binding her.
Yeah.
And is it also in is it also in the Sasarabito where there's an 8 similar to this?
I don't know that deck at all.
I don't
Okay.
think
No, the eight of
Maybe I'm
Swords-
thinking of the Lightseers then.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
But see, the Cook's Tarot, I don't know at all either.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I don't know that one.
Oh. But yeah, so I feel like, Anna Kay is the OG of this particular
Way of-
visual
yeah.
interpretation of the Eight of
Yeah.
Swords. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was in my favorite pile as well.
mine too.
Mine too.
Mine too.
Oh, so it's, you know,
It's
Yeah.
a unanimous favorite, yeah.
Yep.
yes,
Mhm.
yes.
So good.
Jonathan had mentioned that this would be a good deck to do path working.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that the cosmic visions is similar. The swords make a hand mirror that the person is gazing into, and the reflection is blindfolded.
Wow.
So, but yeah,
Gotcha.
cool. Sarah, you're up.
So just to stay on the whole swords theme, I want to talk about the Ten of Swords.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I've got that one
absolutely
too.
love this deck. I love this Ten of Swords because, I mean, it is, in a way, a very traditional, like Rider-Waite-Smith inspired Ten of
Yep.
Swords. You've got the swords. They've
Yes.
clearly impaled a person. There's a lot of blood. But the person is getting up and walking away. Like, you can even
Yep.
see the bloody footprints, and you can see
Yep.
them walking away. And to me, I love that because, I mean, it doesn't just get at the whole, like, theme of, resiliency, but the point of a 10, or the way that I always read a 10, is that it's not just the end of a cycle, it's also the beginning of the next cycle.
Exactly.
And
Right.
so showing the person having gone through this, like, hitting rock bottom situation, but then getting up and walking away and moving away from it, to
Mhm.
me, like, that's what the Ten of Swords is all about. So
Right.
so I love this depiction. Like, I think it's just fantastic.
I think it's great.
It's one of my favorite Tens of Swords ever. So
Because it's it's bloody, and yet because you see the figure getting up and walking away, that kind of
Mhm.
takes a load off a little bit.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
it's metaphorical, okay?
yeah,
Like,
Yes.
when
exactly.
you get this in reading, it, like, yeah, you can frame it that way. It's like, no, they're still alive. They're walking. They're fine.
Exactly.
Yes.
They've
Never mind
survived.
the blood. It's fine. It'll be
They've
fine.
survived, and
Yeah,
they're
they survived
moving
it.
on. So
Me
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, this was in my favorites too.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Mine
Very
too.
well
So
done.
there you go.
Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's so powerful, but in a different way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's impactful, and it's sort of like, okay, I'm leaving that behind, and so I'm going around. So the
Mhm.
10s are new beginnings. That
Yes.
situation is ending, but born from it is new life. And
life,
so I
yeah.
appreciate the visceral quality. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. This card represents or demonstrates personal courage and determination to me.
Mhm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
So,
Mhm.
hi. Yes to this Ten of Swords. What's the point of the message if we can't get up again
Yeah,
and
right.
move on?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen
So
people mention, I don't remember who it was who I saw mention this. Like, it was in a book that I read. I can't remember which one. It might have been a Melissa Sonova book where she talked about, like, how freaking dramatic is the Ten of Swords. Like, it's so over dramatic, and the Rider-Waite-Smith, it's like this person is just like, oh, and they're like impaled by 10 swords, and it's like, good Lord, like, this is the most dramatic, like, ridiculously dramatic thing I've ever seen.
So
And
true.
This is like the person has gotten over the drama,
Yeah,
and they're like
exactly.
moving on to their next thing. So yeah.
Exactly.
yeah. And Mark says Anna Kay knocks the sword suit out of the park. Great depictions. I love
I agree.
her very OG take on the two as well.
Yes, I
so-
agree with that. Yes. And that was also one of mine.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, Julie, you're up.
Oh, okay. So I guess we can talk about, I don't know what I did with it.
Are you
So
talking
yeah,
about the
Two of
two?
Swords.
I love that. It's in
was
mine.
one of mine
Mhm.
as well. I thought I
Yep,
had
me
it in
too.
my pile, but yeah. And again, it's just that a slightly different take, on, and yet
Mhm.
it still gives you, you can still take the traditional, Two of Swords from RWS meaning, and yet it is malleable to other types of, interpretations. And so I just
Yes.
really love that, you do still see the elements of like the moon and the ocean behind and such. But I just love the posture of the person. And I just find it really kind of, I mean, not that I ever had a problem with the original Two of Swords. I think it's a beautiful card, but I do love that this feels a little more, I guess, active to me, in that sometimes the original Two of Swords can feel a bit like you're stuck, and
Mhm.
there's this feeling of indecision, whereas here I feel there is a little more onus on the figure in the card, and
Right.
just having a more of a sense of like, no, you have an active part in making the decision and engaging in your intuition, in following your gut. You can get up, you can walk, you're not
Mhm.
blindfolded. um, and yet it's still, you can still read it that way, certainly. So
Yeah.
I really, really like that card.
Yeah. The encroaching shoreline through the doorway is amazing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I also agree. I love this because it's the impasse,
Mhm.
and but there's still other options.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
visually, this, I think, with the ribbons on
Mhm.
the swords, and the drama of that, I think it could be very, very interesting.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And Sarah, your deck tree was just
Yeah.
noticed.
Yes, they're from IKEA. These like tree racks
Nice.
are from IKEA, and they're very inexpensive, and they're perfect for hanging decks.
So yeah, so that's beautiful. So um, I'm looking. Okay, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I like this take on the Wheel of Fortune.
That's one of mine too.
Mhm.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, and I can just say I like this take on it.
Mhm.
It's just like, yes, it is exactly what it feels like.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yes, that's what happens if you've ever watched the water wheels.
Mhm.
That's exactly what happens. So
Mhm.
what do you all think?
Just the figure, like what Sarah was saying before, that faint figure in the background,
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
this, her, like, she's the one turning the wheel, like,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and she's there kind of over, she has her hand on one of the, I don't know what that is, a handle.
Mhm.
And then she's the one turning. So in
Mhm.
one sense,
Yeah.
it's almost like, well, you just kind of have to go with it, because ultimately your hand is not the one
Right.
on
Yeah.
the wheel.
Turning the wheel.
Right.
Exactly. And sometimes you're at the top, and sometimes
Sometimes
you're
you're not.
falling right
That's
off. Like,
okay. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I really like. I'm a bit like the Wheel of Fortune for me is that one card in nearly every deck where I'm just a bit meh,
Meh. Yeah,
yeah,
same.
about it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't really have any strong feelings about the Wheel of Fortune at all. But I do
Right.
really like this one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's that. Heather, you're up again.
Okay. I just have one more that I really like that I wanted to talk about, and that is the Lovers.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
love that they are older people.
Mhm.
I love that the dog's
Agree.
old and the people are old. And you don't really see that in the Lovers. You don't, even decks that quite often have a whole range of ages throughout the deck, it's very rare to see the Lovers depicted as an old couple. And yet
Yes.
ultimately, what speaks more strongly to the strength of love
Mhm.
than old people that you can
Right.
assume have been together
Right.
for their lifetime? I think
Mhm.
it's a beautiful card with a beautiful message behind it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's the depth. It's not the new love. It's not the
Mm,
new. It's the ongoing. It's the deep.
Mhm.
commitments
Right.
and that weaving. I mean, the way they're looking at each other and the way that they're leaning in. Yeah, I get that.
And also when you talk about choice, like, not to get a bit twee here, but like ultimately love that lasts is a choice, right? To get up every day and continue to be together and love each other and make it work. And I think
Exactly.
having older people in the card also really speaks to that as well.
Yes.
Yes, because there's going to be struggles and obstacles and conflicts, and you just get the feeling from this card that, like Heather said, this is a relationship that they've chosen to work at. They've chosen not to give up on each other despite the lows, and
Yes.
it's a love that's endured. So I love this one as well.
Yeah, I do.
Tony is here. Hello, Tony. And we have been asked by April, how age inclusive is this, says the 50-year-old here.
I feel like it's
This deck is pretty
fairly age inclusive.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like it is as well.
I feel like there's a good range.
Yeah. There's a nice range, and
Yeah.
I can spot myself and other people that I know in the deck. So, and oh, by the way, justice is 8 and strength is 11 in this. So,
Which I've never noticed.
I never noticed that either. Oh.
So
I
did.
never noticed that either.
I
Did
wonder
you
why.
Sarah, you've had this deck forever. How did you not know?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it is very RWS. So why, I mean, I guess that would.
Yeah.
Well,
it
and
would
also,
just kind of.
let me
yeah.
think about this, because no, you're right. It is, even in the
Yeah,
mass market
it's-
edition,
yeah.
strength
It
is
is
11.
in the
Yeah.
mass market what
Yeah.
it is as well.
I've just never paid enough attention to that to realize. So, or I forgot. Yeah.
Or I wonder why she made that decision, because I don't believe it's in the guidebook why she made that decision.
I mean, you can go both ways on it.
so
Yeah, neither here nor there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no difference to me.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I mean, they're so these images are so clear on what the message is. It doesn't matter the numbers. So, who puts their cards in order like that? I do, but that's just me. All right, Sarah, you're up.
So I just wanted to quickly, because I had talked before about why I love the aces in this deck. And so I wanted to kind of do the same thing with the courts. So just as an example, I'm going to show the kings in the deck. So here is the King of Wands. Here is the King of Cups. Here is the King of Swords. And here is the King of Pentacles. And so you can see they are all very different. Like when you think about the Rider-Waite-Smith, it's just a bunch of guys sitting in chairs. There's symbolism, around them and everything. But for the most part, they're just guys sitting in chairs. And in this deck, I really feel like you just understand the personality of these court cards in such a strong way because of the way that she's drawn them. Like you can really see the strong contrast in terms of what kind of people they are. And to me, again, that makes the court cards so much easier to read, because you do get that personality coming through, and you're able to say, okay, a person with this kind of personality might be represented by this card. So again, one of the other reasons that I just think this is a great beginner deck is not just the aces, but also the courts. And I think it's true for the pages, the knights, the queens as well. Like you really get that very, very, like their personalities just shine through in the way that they're depicted, and I really like that. So
I agree.
Yeah, and I'm a person who I want my court cards to be active. I want them to be doing something, and these are. And Mark said, good court cards make or break a deck for him. So, and
Makes total sense.
Beth, love the court cards. The Queen of Swords epitomizes
One of my favorites
the
too.
entire deck.
Yes.
So beautiful.
Absolutely.
And because I'm going to Queen of Swords, right?
Yep, Queen of Swords. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, such a beautiful card.
So good.
Yeah. So, all right, Julie, you're up.
Okay. I will show you the death card here. I actually I actually
I
really like
love this death card. It's like a hot Twilighty vampire deck.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you totally read my mind. So kind of hot, like we're diverging from like the weird Hobbiton look, and
Come to
like
me. Come to
basically,
me.
I mean, like look at him, and then he's like holding out his hand, and I don't get a sense of like this. To me, I don't feel fear, when I see this card. Whether it be whether you're going to interpret it as a literal death or oftentimes a metaphorical death, there's still that feeling of dread or trepidation. But with this, it's like, no, dude, I will totally go with you. Like
if I'm Julie, I will.
Yes, I will. I will. Yes, let's go.
And fly off with you. Yeah.
So that's what I really
You're
like about
vampire
this
queen. I'm sorry, Julie.
I can't help it because I'm just like going, I want to get my tiny hand out and go, Julie, come with me. Come with me, Julie. I mean, that's I could paint this white and then that's his hand, come with me.
I mean, it's everything. I mean, this has got to be one of my favorite death cards. Just really, it's great. It's great. I mean, come on. I mean, this is it's going to be a beautiful time. Come on. It's going to be a beautiful time with this guy. Like, so. And that's all I have to say about that.
I mean, that was a lot.
I sort of need a cigarette after that. I mean, it's like, but I will take a sip. So everybody, it's like,
yeah, let's all cool off a little bit.
It's true.
Actually, what's funny is
a hot ass. Yeah. Sorry, Gerald.
What's funny is this is in the cards that I'm about.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me. Okay, it reminds me of Noel when he was in the IT crowd. Noel.
Yeah. I actually have a bit of a crush on Noel Fielding.
I love Noel Fielding. Yeah.
Who's Noel?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
He's very weird. He's like him and I mean, I don't know if people remember this, but him and Russell Brand used to be very, very good friends because they're very similar. But he's British and weird.
He's now the goth host of the Great British Bake Off. Now he's one of the hosts.
Okay. Huh.
And he was
like tall.
Yeah.
Oh God.
He was the guy in the closet of the IT crowd.
Okay.
So the goth in the back, and so
okay.
I love him.
But anyhow,
all the more.
I ain't got a problem with that, but I was just like on the death card, I'm like going, what? Oh, I just noticed his treasure trail.
Mm-hmm. You just noticed that, Gerald?
Clearly, you look closely as some of us.
And because I'm just like going, I want to take the guy out for a cheeseburger and a tanning bed.
Well, I mean,
I just like, anyhow.
Well, I mean, but look at his wingspan. So
yeah.
large.
You know who he reminds? Have any of you guys read the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah Maas? He reminds. Yeah, Julie knows exactly what character I'm talking about. Yeah, he's like the main love interest in those books. So he looks exactly like how I picture him. So.
I'm just like going. Julie's excitement. Look at that wingspan.
Wingspan on that.
Wow. It's like I never,
Just saying.
I mean, I'm totally going to be talking about that. So I'm like going, thank you. Whew. Okay. Is anybody blushing? Sarah, are you blushing?
I'm always
from all this?
My face is always red. It's just, yeah.
Okay.
So,
I mean, Julie needs a cold shower.
Julie needs a cold shower. Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I actually don't think it's a cold shower that Julie needs. I'm just saying. Come on. So one of the cards that I picked is the Hanged Man. And the reason I picked this one is because the look on the dude's face, he is freaking annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's just like, you know, he's not tied up. He's not in that weird leg position. He is upside down. It's like he's being punished.
Yeah.
You go sit on the naughty step and think about what you've done. And it's like, no, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
That's what I like about that too, because oftentimes, you know, there's a serene kind of peaceful, contemplative look on the hanged, you know, the character in the hanged man, hanged one. And I just love that he is pissed, you know, like
Yes.
that he is suffering some consequences of certain actions. And yeah, he's being made to take ownership of that. So I actually really like that.
I mean, and you know, if you flip it upside down, you see this person walking down the street. I am actually going to cross the street.
Yeah.
Because I know, but I, oh my God, Tony.
I mean, that's one way, I suppose.
But I also think that in a reading, this would actually be a much more appropriate, it could be a very appropriate card to show up in a reading where somebody is struggling with seeing things differently, because it's like, that's what is going on.
Exactly.
So,
and I also think I really like that, you know, you have that kind of take a moment to think about the consequences of your actions and see them from another point of view. And sometimes having to do that really does suck.
It does.
You don't really want to. And there is that kind of, I don't want to be doing this.
Exactly.
It's really sucky.
Yeah.
I hate life.
I mean, I don't know about the three of you because I think you're perfect. I mean, but I have never been in a situation like this.
No, I mean, it really is.
I mean, that's a conversation for another day, isn't it?
Sometimes the hanged man is about being stuck. Like, it's not just about being like peaceful and serene and celebrating life. It's about you're stuck. You wish you were moving. You're not. And you just have to deal with it, you know?
I mean, it's very much like, no, it's not so much oh no, I don't mind being here. I don't mind being here. No, I do so very much mind being here. I do not want to be here. I do not want to be doing this. And hence the reason I'm still hanging here, because
because I'm refusing to accept the place that I'm in and move on.
Yeah, because you know he could do it, and it's just like, I mean, he could just uncross his arms, and you know, because don't they have those hanging things that you people use to stretch out their spines? He could do that, but he's not. And you know, and Tony said I think he's wearing Megan's and to match Gerald's furry chest vest. I think you may be right, and I did not wear that today. I thought about it, but I don't know you know, y'all may not know that story about the Meggings and the hairy chest, but that's a story for later. So Peter J. Watts is here. Hello, Peter.
Hello.
So okay, so that's that. You're up, Heather.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a card now that I won't go so far as to say I don't like it, but I just don't get the choice that was made for this card, bearing in mind the meaning of the card, and that's the Five of Swords. This is the most aggressive card. In just a way that I see it, and I think about what the Five of Swords means, and there is a complete disconnect for me. I cannot match the two together. Like the Five of Swords, to me, like there isn't, like, you've already won. You've won by really shitty means. And it's not necessarily a glorifying win, but you've already won, and you're kind of having to live with the underhand methods that you took in order to win. Whereas this card is like, it's just brutal. I find this card really brutal.
This was also in my I do not care for. To me, this makes me very uncomfortable, because when you think of the connotations of this image, it is not to take over Heather, but like I mean, when you think of it, it's like you get these feelings of trigger warning, but like pillaging and what comes with that, which is like sexual assault and massacre. And it just really, this is the most uncomfortable card for me.
Same. And I really struggled. I mean, I was really struggling for the most part to find cards that I wasn't. I mean, there are cards I like more than others, but this is probably the one card in the whole deck where I'm like, I don't
it's very
understand
hard.
what you made there.
It's
And
very
actually,
hard
if I'm
one.
completely honest, I don't like them. I don't like the choice that you've made with this
Yes,
card. I think it's
this one's
way
hard for
too
me.
extreme.
Yeah, it's
The
over the top.
brutal.
message
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the Five of Swords is trying to depict. I just think it
is
was
very
odd choice.
shadowy. Yeah, it's very like how would you be able to interpret that any other way than
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
Like, and if you were I don't read for other people, but if I was reading for someone else and this card came up in the reading, I would really struggle with that. I would really struggle to do something with that card in a way that isn't going to traumatically destroy somebody in a
I mean,
do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Because for me, I mean, the swords is again about like communication and thoughts and rhetoric but this is so physically visceral. It is hard for me to, it would be hard for me to
and that's the
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just think that's this is why we do this. This is why I like having these conversations, because it's like, okay, yeah. And we have Peter here who says only half as overkill as the 10. That's a good point. I mean, because we talked about the 10 as a card that we really like. And then Tangi has said, personally, for me, I see every deck as its own entity and different in its own way. And I appreciate the deck that's not the same cookie cutter images as the other. I agree with you.
Right.
So, but yeah. So
it's hard to tell a story to like, I think with the Rider-Waite-Smith Five of Swords, you can tell a story where the person who you're reading for is one of the characters in that card. You know, maybe they're the person who won by unsavory means, or maybe they're the person who's standing there dejected after they've been taken advantage of. In this card, you don't want to tell them that they're either any of those
any of these people. I don't want to ever be associated with any of them.
Are you the evil pillaging person, or are you the poor cowering woman who's probably going to get assaulted? Like, it's a little hard to.
It's very hard.
Place a person in that card.
Yes, I agree.
Totally. And I think Mark makes a good point as well. Like the 10 of Swords, which is often the most brutal of the Swords cards, is so much gentler in this deck than the 5 of Swords.
Than the 5.
Like, I just as a choice for the 5 of Swords, I just don't understand the decision that she made. I think.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
It was
So
sorry, I had strong feelings about that card.
Oh, girl, something smelly. Somebody's smelly. So there you go. But I mean, to Peter's point is the, do I have that right? I mean, whatever. You know, it may be half as brutal as the 10, but the 10 is so much more gentler in its depiction. So,
and uplifting. Like, there is actually, you know, there's a note of hope in the 10, and that 5 is just like
5. It's like no, situation. Yeah, it's situation.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That it's like,
Oh, I see it.
Kind of dreams you might have about like the sort of I can see that.
Yeah, and maybe this is maybe this is stuck in the head, and this is the worst case scenario of what's going on, because the 5s are about choices and they are about the conflict. So, but okay. Okay, so whose card was that?
That was mine.
Okay, Sarah, you're up. Do we still have time? Are you all okay?
Oh, I'm fine. Is it okay if I talk about another card I like?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So I like the Judgment card in this deck.
Yes.
I really love the Judgment card in this.
There's another hot angel in there.
Yeah, well, there's another hot angel, but also, like, if anyone else like me is the kind of person, it like had one of your high school teachers like make you read Plato's Allegory of the Cave and then like beat all of the symbolism into your brain so that it will never leave you for the rest of your life. Like, this card is very Allegory of the Cave.
It is.
And it's
absolutely.
It really so it just, I don't know, like, to me this is a judgment card that, rather than the people popping out of the coffins, which means
Yes.
precisely nothing to me, this is a card that really gets at that concept of an experience of enlightenment. You've been in the dark, and now
Yes.
you're seeing the light. And
Agreed.
it's just, so to me, this is just a really good depiction of judgment that I relate to a lot more. And I really love it. And it has a hot angel. So,
Yes.
as Julie pointed out, so kindly.
Yes.
Please notice the wingspan on that
The
angel.
Yeah, I know.
Wingspan
It's got a
is
good
pretty-
wingspan. Yeah.
I mean, Death still has the trophy, but
Yeah.
I also like.
How
I
are
also
even
like.
finding hot at this point. Is it just because they're standing with their tops off?
Yeah.
You need to get out more if that's
I
the
think
case.
it's just, I think it's no. I'm talking about
Oh my
in
God.
the context of the Hobbiton world that is Anna Kay. These guys are models.
Yeah. This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah. This is true.
One of the
There's not a
things that
lot
I
of
like
these
about
in the game.
I also like that these could be different ages because they're
Yes.
different heights, even
Yeah.
though. So depending upon how that falls in the card.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
Okay. Julie, you're up.
Okay. So I'll talk about one more card that I actually no, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, I will.
Do whatever
so
you
the
want.
Devil card, actually, I like this because it was kind of surprising to me. Just how, like, in this Hobbiton, like very earthy Hobbiton, like it's like I mean, there's some. She did not hold back. Let's just put it
No.
that way. Anna Kay
Nope.
did not hold back with this
Nope.
card.
There's some shenanigans
There
happening
is
on.
some shenanigans
card.
going on, and
Yeah.
it's very, very direct and very upfront. Like, this is what it is. I also like the depiction of the devil himself not being like the horned, I kind of find that refreshing as well. But just in general, I was just like, ooh, Anna, what are we doing here? So it's it's I don't know. I can kind of see this as, yes, it being lending to the whole idea of the traditional like vice and being kind of trapped in these vices, or you're being sucked into, but and also good times, maybe depending on the context. It doesn't necessarily. I don't necessarily have to read this card that way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I agree.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be like a horn dog in this whole like live.
You're not. You're not. I'm just.
Yeah,
I should,
Julie,
I
that
should
opinion
shut
is out
up.
there. You're not recovering from this anytime soon.
But I mean, just I think Julie gets at a really good point, which is to say, despite the hobbity looking sort of storybook feel of the Anna Kay, there's some PG-13 moments. So,
There are.
Mhm.
I mean,
There are, yeah.
That's not peach. That's like R.
It's like art. Yeah,
In there. We're talking.
there's some people straight up banging on the double
They're
card. So, yeah.
they're straight up
Yeah.
going at it. I mean, and I'm
Oh
just like,
gosh, should I have done like trigger warning or
like,
nudity alert?
metaphorical pearls
I think
here.
we've gone to that point now, Gerald. Honestly. I think anybody who would be offended by this point will have gone when Julie started talking about wingspans.
This is like Bridgerton right here. This is like
Yeah.
Bridgerton season 1.
Wait a minute. I haven't watched Bridgerton, but now I need to, right?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, if that's like,
If you like period pieces with sex.
mhm.
I mean, I don't like period pieces or romance of any kind, and I still enjoyed it. So
Yeah. It's a fun time. Anyway.
Mhm.
Could
that's a
you
personal
pair
preference.
this? Could you pair this with the Chrysalis Tarot? Maybe a light and a shadow.
Oh, I can see that actually.
I could see
I can
that.
actually
Yeah.
see that. I don't have the chrysalis, but I do know what it visually looks like. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Gosh, okay. A card that I am not a fan of is this two. I'm like the two of rods. I'm like going, what the? It's confusing for me.
Yeah.
Because I see the two as much more. I mean, this is the two of rods, and I feel the two of rods is more about you have a lot of power, you have a lot of energy. This does not convey that to me. It does convey choice, but there's no excitement, no
Potential.
Yeah, there's no potential.
potential. Yeah,
Right,
it's
right.
like
And just
it's
kind
like
of no preparation, just like the whole
yeah,
preparing for what's to come ahead. And it is a very, he looks so forlorn for sure.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I like his boots and I like his hat, and I would totally wear that cape.
I like
Yeah, same.
So yeah, and Tangi just said, I need those boots.
Yeah, they're great.
So, and
Mm-hmm.
hi Julie. So
Hello.
she's doing some
Hello.
quilting.
Cool.
So
Yeah,
I'm surprised none of you have mentioned the temperance card.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty and different. Anyone?
Mm-hmm. I almost put the temperance card in my favorites pile, and
I
then
think I
decided
did
my
as well.
favorites was getting too big at the last minute.
Yeah,
So-
I think I did as well. And then so I was like, if I keep going, I'm just going to end up with pretty much every card.
Yeah, I do like the
Yeah.
card.
Mhm.
It
I'm
is
going
very,
to have
yeah,
to make some
It's
choices.
beautiful.
I really do like it.
Yeah.
I really do.
And I like how, again, we're seeing the back and,
Mm.
balancing, because you've got to
Right.
balance those as you walk up the steps.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice card.
Yeah.
It is. It's very beautiful.
Mhm.
It's a nice card. So
Mhm.
Heather, you're up. Or shall we do one more round?
Yeah.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
the last card. This is what everybody is going to remember about all of this from what you say right now,
Whoa,
Heather.
well,
Wow. No pressure then.
No pressure. I'm just an
Okay.
ass.
No, so I just have one more actually. So the Ten of Rods is another one where I'm like, I don't get it. That's just when I look at it. That's thank you, because mine's really shiny and I have my light on because it's night here. But like I get that feeling of overwhelm from this card, which I like to see in the Ten of Rods or the Ten of Wands, but I don't get that feeling of responsibility, which for me is the key. Like it's an overwhelm that comes from having taken on way too much responsibility and not wanting to put anything down and taking on things that aren't really ours to take on. And yeah, we've done really well and we've been really successful, but have we maybe been a little bit too successful?
exactly.
And I don't really feel any of that from this card. I just feel really overwhelmed and a little bit uncomfortable with this card. I'm just like, oh my god,
He's cowering. It's almost like he doesn't want to take the responsibility. It's almost like the very extreme opposite of like he's cowering from all of it, as opposed to like, no, this is something he could do. He could very well shoulder everything, but should he?
Right.
But you don't get that sense at all. It's just like, no,
well,
I can't at all.
And wands are supposed to be something like wands are about inspiration. They're about, something that really lights you up and makes you excited. And so I oftentimes see the Ten of Wands as like, yes, it's a burden, but it's a burden you're carrying because you want to. It's something that you're happy to do. It's the hard work to manifest something that does really inspire you. And this card like just does not get that meaning.
I agree.
So yeah.
I agree. That was in my pile as well.
And Mark said Ten of Wands vibes more with the Thoth
of oppression.
Oppression.
That's true. Maybe she does have some Thothy.
Does she?
I'm wondering if she does.
Like, I don't know the Thoth deck at all. Not really. So there may be some connections there that I just wouldn't see because I don't know. No,
that is absolutely true.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. It's true, Beth. And she says, I think the sky says it all in the Ten of Wands.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
So, hi, Lori. Glad to see you.
Hi, Lori.
Hi.
So, all right. Yeah.
That's basically it for me.
Okay. Sarah.
I'm going to say one more card I like because I really think that this card is interesting in that it's another 5, but this is the 5 of Wands as opposed to the 5 of Swords. And I think the 5 of Wands gets at something about the 5 of Wands that I feel like it's almost isn't that well expressed oftentimes in other decks. Like oftentimes the 5 of Wands is just about like pure conflict, and it looks more maybe like the Five of Swords in this deck. But in this one, it's just these two guys arm wrestling in the bar. And like, yeah, there's probably like a legit, competition there. And they're both, they both want to win, but there's something friendly about it. Like it's not a big serious conflict. It's conflict that is almost fun in a way, and I really like that about it. But it's like the polar opposite of the Five of Swords, so which is really interesting.
I really like this one as well, and I like it's like the word right away keyword. You've got the mock battle, and I think this is some of that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I like that because I think of the Five of Wands. I learned from the Robin Wood, it's an exchange of energy. And it could be this, I'm flexing, I'm showing off, I'm wrestling you, to I'm doing battle with you. So
I
and Richie says,
I was just reading that.
I have to be honest, this deck can make my toes curl in a bad way. I literally want to like it, but I find it creepy.
Yeah,
I get it.
Not unusual
it's not unusual, Richie.
Yeah.
I mean, there are others of us in this group where it makes their toes curl in a good way. This one, but
wow. All right, Julie, you're up. What do you got?
Okay, I am going to show one that it's like I think a lot of people like this one, and I don't hate it, but I don't love it, and that's the Strength card actually. And the reason why is that I understand what's being depicted here. I think it's really that I don't like the chains still. I mean, I usually like to see the animal unbridled in some way. And if I got the impression that she is meaning to take off the collar and the chain, that would be one thing. But she's holding pretty firm to that. And I know that is her way of control. I mean, you do see that, you see the juxtaposition of the kindness of the hand on the animal's face. And
keep talking. I'll be back.
But then in the other hand, she just have a firm hold to, I suppose, kind of signify that control, right? That kind of that power and that will over the beast. And I don't know. I guess and maybe it's, I think it's more an emotional kind of reaction in me, and that I prefer to see my creatures like in the Strength card, not necessarily like, I don't like the original one where the woman is prying open the mouth. I don't like that. I don't any kind of brute force like that on an animal, like I tend to not really care for. So I don't know. I like I said, I don't hate it. I just remember when I saw this card, I'm like, low key, like not loving that that part of it. And that's just really it for me, where I would rather just I guess the whole idea of the strength being from not from that kind of physical aspect of it, like the physical control. So
yeah, totally get
that's
that.
really interesting, because I've never really thought about it like that, because the chain's not attached to anything.
No, it's not.
So to me, it's no, like I don't see it as a restraint any different than I see the restraint that I put on my dog when I take him for a walk. So that's a really interesting way of looking at the card that I've just not considered before.
Yeah, and I think, and it could be that again, like the connotations of a chain as opposed to a leash, and like the heaviness of the chain, in this world where, I mean, clearly this animal is not a domesticated animal. That's not the way I see it. It's a wild animal being restrained. Is she the one restraining it? Has she maybe she has rescued it, but in this case, it's hard to tell. And to me, I don't get the indication that she is, even though she's being kind and gentle, I don't get the indication that she's working to free the animal. And there's still gentleness there, with her hand on the animal and the animal's paw on her leg. So, I mean, so like I said, I don't hate it. It was just more of a visceral reaction for me. Yeah.
Totally
I
get it.
completely understand that. Yeah. So I am I'm going back and I'm looking at people who had said things that they wanted to see. And April wanted to see the wheel, which we talked about.
Mhm.
Three of Swords. Did we talk
We
about
talked
the
about.
three? We talked about the Three of Swords, which yeah, Three of Swords. There you go.
Mhm.
The Page of Pentacles.
Oh, I love the Page of Pentacles in this deck.
I do. Right?
Mhm.
That's a good
I
one.
yeah, I think the pages are quite charming.
Mhm.
There's a youthfulness about them.
Mhm.
So I like that. And then the Hierophant, which I pulled out the wrong card.
Yeah. And I think the Hierophant is called the High Priest.
The High Priest.
The High Priest in this deck, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So,
love this card, but it's very, very rare that I love the Hierophant when it's done in a very traditional way.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And okay. Did you do the Emperor? There's the Emperor.
And so a lot of people object strongly to the Empress in this card, but I love the Empress in this card. And one of the things that I love is there's some parallels between the Emperor and the Empress that really get at the distinct meanings of the two, and which I think is really cool in this deck. How they both have the checkered floors. But with the Empress, it's like all kind of busted up, and there's like plants growing up, and it's it just has a very different feel than the Emperor and all of the structure. So I've always really liked that. I liked him as a player.
Controversial card there.
Yeah. She's not the most attractive person on the planet, but I love the
Well, she holds her own. You can tell she holds her own.
Yeah, she's badass. She's powerful.
Well, she has to against this Emperor.
Exactly.
True.
So
exactly.
And High Priestess.
Oh, I love the High
I
Priestess.
do like
Beautiful. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
High Priestess.
Yep. Just love everything about it.
And the Hermit.
Hermit? No, this is the Magician.
The Hermit is one actually that I very nearly did include in my cards that I like.
It's
I really like this one.
It's one of my favorites as well. It's such a peaceful and introspective vibe. Like it screams like solitude and peaceful introspection, and just it's such a calming card.
And Two of Cups. Somebody wanted to see the Two of Cups.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
And I think it was Beth asking Heather about that.
I don't really have any particular feelings one way or the other about this Two of Cups. I like it, but I don't really have any feelings about it at all, either way.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a bit anticlimactic, wasn't it? After all that wait.
Although, you know what that does make me think of is that the Nine of Cups in this deck is another one where I really love it, because the difference between this and like the man-spreading dude surrounded by goblets is so like there is so much more of just that happiness, like fulfillment kind of vibe in the Nine of Cups in this deck, and I just love it. They look so happy in the Nine of Cups, just like so happy, which is awesome.
Oh, because Two of Cups isn't Hobbiton. It's correct.
Oh no, yeah, that's true.
Correct. It doesn't.
No,
somebody wanted to.
Like, just to point out, I'm not the one who refers to this desk as Hobbiton. That is all Julie.
Okay, and I got that from somebody else somewhere. I think it was.
I do think this deck has a Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you call it the Hobbiton deck, right?
I do, yeah. I just, when a lot of times people say the people in the deck are ugly, and I always think, well, I don't think they're ugly. I just think that they're like sort of homey, hobbity looking, like
it was you. It was you.
No, it's totally me. Yeah. And
yes.
yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
they're
because it
ugly.
wasn't
It's not
me.
like
I
a Lord
just
of the
think
Rings
they're
type vibe, though, right? It's got that whole fantasy universe type vibe.
Right.
It's
Like
one of the
little
reasons I
little
like it.
village, you know,
Yes,
where everybody
absolutely.
knows each other,
Very-
and
Yeah.
very earthy, very like aggro, very I don't know, just very Hobbiton.
In this deck, the 10 of Cups and the 9 of Cups seem to have switched places image-wise. 9 is with family, 10 is alone and satisfied.
I love the 10 being alone, quite frankly. I find that when I see just a solo figure in the 10 of Cups, I love that to be able to find that the emotional contentment with yourself, you know,
Mhm.
and having come to that place where your relationship with yourself is fulfilling and you know you're happy, you're content with who you are. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And this is an empress that I want to know, you know, for me.
I don't think this Empress is ugly either. I just think she looks mean.
Yeah, I
Which
agree.
is not a reflection on how
Yeah, it's-
pretty or ugly she is. I think
It looks like she has a mustache.
She does,
She's really fucking mad
which is fine.
and mad at me, and it just makes me want to apologize to something I didn't even know I'd done. Whatever it is, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am sorry for what I've done. I have sinned. Please forgive me. Please forgive
Really
me.
pissed off. And it's a bit like, sorry.
I just,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I feel like she just looks badass, you
Oh,
know.
she does,
She's just
absolutely.
like sitting in her power.
Well, you certainly don't want
And
to mess with her. That's for
yeah,
sure.
which I love, you know, because the Empress doesn't need to be all about like kindly motherliness. Although I do get like, yeah, I can understand Heather if you feel like she looks mean, like that's not what you want from the Empress either.
No.
But you know, I've always interpreted it as her just like sitting in her power, like very, very equal to the Emperor, but hers is just a different kind of power, you know.
It's a different kind of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's personally how I see the Emperor and the Empress. It's that they're both equally powerful, just demonstrated in different ways. So, but yeah. So, oh my gosh. This has been so much fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. This is the Anna K Tarot. Links are below. Know your limits. Purchase responsibly. And is it the Anna K Tarot that Anna K, once she's out of her stock, it will not be reprinted from her website?
So her indie edition, once she's out of stock, she cannot reprint the indie edition because it is out as mass market. So if you want the indie edition, I don't know how much stock she has, but it will, the indie edition will be gone eventually. The mass market edition probably won't be. Again, they're both very nice, but if you really want the indie edition, just be aware of that. So
is it the same with the Lenormand, where when she's out of that, that will also be, or not?
I don't know, because that's not published mass market, so I don't think it has the same restrictions necessarily, but I know she has said specifically with the indie tarot, like once I sell out of my stock, I can't print it again.
Gotcha.
So
and for those of you who, you know, she does have the Anna K Lenormand. And you know, I saved on shipping by ordering them both from her site. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And the Lenormand is really, it's got the same art style, and it's
beautiful.
just really,
it is beautiful.
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
You'll
have to show me it, Sarah, at some
Yeah,
point.
it's really,
I've not seen it.
I only own 3 Lenormand decks, and that's one of the ones that I own. So yeah.
You know, it is the similar style, but these are Lenormand size.
Yes.
Which is a good thing. So, all right. What do you have coming up on your channels? This is a pop question.
It's next Sunday.
Next weekend, next Saturday.
We're playing catch up. So, so next Sunday, if you're not already sick of us, Saturday. Next Saturday. Today is Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday.
Saturday. Yes.
At 1 on my channel, we will be having yet another 3 girls live, and we will have a special guest. So please tune in for that. Yes.
After Gerald was our inaugural special guest.
Yes,
The
and now-
first one we ever had on
Yep.
Three Girls. We had such a fantastic time.
Exactly. So we have we have
So-
lined up. And so
Yeah.
yes, next Sunday or Saturday, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Next Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. British.
British time, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not telling us who it is.
Oh, we can tell you. Can we? Have we before?
I suppose we can.
Yeah,
So,
sure, yeah. Linda, is it from Blue Hour?
From Blue Hour Tarot.
Tarot. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So she does have a newer channel
Mhm.
by that same name, Blue Hour Tarot. She is on Instagram. And so, yeah.
Mhm.
She
And she's
was
bringing some interesting decks that none of us are super familiar with.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I don't think I know any of them at all.
yeah, so she's bringing some really interesting ones. So I
Yes.
think, it'll be a really cool, with a lot of discussion to be had about some decks that are maybe not as well known. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Gosh. And Julie, are you on with Jonathan on
Oh,
Tuesday?
yes, I am. I am on with Jonathan on his channel this Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So please join us for that.
Heather, Sarah, anything?
No, other than
No.
Three Girls. I mean, we have
No
obviously
pressure.
that ongoing series, and I know we're also talking about recording pretty soon the next installment in our series on the Raven
Ravens.
the
Mhm.
Raven cycle,
Right.
and that the
Right.
Raven's proxy deck. So
Yeah, we're aiming for sometime in, I think, May,
Mhm.
aiming for, but we didn't want to inundate you this April.
We
know
thought
you
you might
love
be
us,
sick
but-
of us
Yeah.
after a while.
3 weekends in
There
a
you
row.
go.
Yeah.
We're
There you
kind
go.
of oversaturated. Yeah.
There you go. On Monday, I have a Laugh and Learn series with Sadhana from Integrative Healing with Sadhana.
Yay.
We are talking about breathing.
Oh.
Okay.
So, and on Tuesday, April 12th, 9 p.m. British Summer Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, I have a deck casual for the Quantum Tarot version 2.0, and the
Tarot.
artist Chris Butler will
Wow.
be joining.
Oh, nice.
Richie Longman Tarot,
Very
Chris
cool.
from Elemental Cartomancy, Nancy from Paper Moon Tarot, and
Mhm.
I talking about the deck. So,
Awesome.
so yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
ladies.
Thank you,
This has been
everyone.
wonderful.
Thank
Hang
you
out
for
for a
having
minute.
us.
Oh, maybe we should do another one.
I'm down.
I'm always
Anytime.
down.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So, ooh, we'll have to think of a new deck. So,
Mhm.
anyhow, thanks everybody.
Thank you, everyone.